Broadcasting from Studio 202 at the Springett Technology Center in Navasota, Texas. It's NOV Live. Now, let's start the show.
Hello, and welcome to NOV Live. My name is Shelby Dumaine, and I'm your host today. This is the show where we take you and give you an inside look to the technology that powers NOV and really powers the energy industry. We have a really excellent show ready for you today and a really great guest who we'll get to in just a minute. But before we do, I do want to mention this is live right now. So if you are watching this and have any questions for us throughout the show, feel free to comment those questions. And at the end, we're going to try to do a Q&A. And also before then, just to get you kind of warmed up within the comment section, give you a little test, we have a poll question for you. So feel free to answer this. Let us know what you think, and that way you can be part of the show. So today's question is, what is your biggest pain point when it comes to your operational or well site data? So if you want to answer us and let us know what your biggest pain point is there, go ahead and comment it. And then, like I said, if you have any questions throughout the show, feel free to leave those questions there as well. All right, I don't want to leave us waiting any longer. I want to introduce our guest. First off, we have Travis Thomas here today. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do here at NOV?
Absolutely. Thank you, Shelby. Travis Thomas came to NOV as a customer for many, many years. I'm a director of digital sales and product development, working with our legacy digital teams and working with some of our newer digital technologies on the completion space.
Excellent. And on that kind of, we're talking about completions today, just a spoiler alert, but can you first start off with what are some challenges in the completion space currently in the industry?
So our industry has really started to push towards data in every element of what we do, and everything that we talk about. You hear data, data, data in all of the E&P news, in all of the finance news. But the challenge with this on completions is disparate data sources. And we use that as a buzzword. You hear it a lot as a buzzword, but it's real. It's real for the users at the well site. It's real for the users at the office. It's real for the E&Ps and the service companies. And what that means in completions is, not to state the obvious, but it's not a rig. And what we mean by that is it doesn't move as one. A completion site, a frac crew moves the crew as one, but the other things don't go with it. Flowback doesn't go with it. The wellheads don't go with it all the time. Pump down and wireline could be different on every site. So that leads us to disparate data sources that do not put their data in the same spot. They are not on the same timeline. You can't see them all together. And that really causes a huge challenge to do real-time analysis and post-job analysis for frac, coil, wireline, and so on.
Right. So kind of being able to see the big pictures is kind of what I see. All right. And what does NOV have to do with this? What are we doing to address that challenge?
So what we're doing is what's called max completions. Starts with a vision statement. And you have to have a really solid vision to move forward. Our vision for max completions is to provide a workflow connectivity in such a manner that it can change actual behaviors at the well site to improve financial performance and efficiencies on completions. That's huge. It's a very big unpacking, because that changing behaviors at the well site, that's the key to what NOV is looking at. It's not just for post-job analysis. We're looking towards automation. We're looking towards changing the things at the well site, helping the person there that's doing the job do a better job. And when you put that middle part in, that's what we're really keying in on. Alarms, warnings, advisory automation, full automation, so on and so forth.
Wow. And like you said, that is a big statement. But just like I think when you have someone come on like a late night show and they bring in a clip of their movie, you actually brought in a video to kind of help show that mission statement and actually get to see a visual of it. So we're going to show that video now for the audience.
Clean. Elegant. Immaculate. We know it's how you'd like your data. But what about when you get your data from here? You see, we've spent generations making and servicing the best equipment in the industry. So we thought it only fitting that we create a purpose-built data platform to connect it all, enabling you to make the best decisions possible.
So we're seeing a change in the trending on the top drive motors?
For us, that means it works on any
Probably
machine,
gonna go out pretty soon.
anytime,
Go
anywhere.
ahead and take care of it right now.
Your data made easy. Clean, elegant, immaculate. It's a dirty job getting clean data. Introducing Max.
All right. Thank you so much for bringing that in. I always love that video too. I mean, we were joking before this. I was doing the voice in it, but just being able to see, because those aren't just actors; those are really our NOV people, and I think it does such a good job of showing that mission statement. So thank you for bringing that in.
Absolutely. I think that video really forces emotion.
Yes.
I mean, people that have lived that, you could almost tear up. That's the one that is like, wow, that came from the oil field?
Yeah,
Like that's real.
yeah.
That one's good. So,
Absolutely. So how are we actually visualizing this or acting on, realizing that vision, that mission statement?
so our industry's seen a lot of these platforms come about, and we've seen them from local service companies doing them really well, but they're local to that one service.
Right.
Where we started outside of the buzzwords is not just disparate data sources and providing this workflow connectivity, but being a customer, being a user that has sat at the well site, sat at the office, sat from E&P all the way to swinging the hammer. We started with hand sketches and screen mock-ups of our platforms, other softwares internal that are local in the unit. So in the frac band, in the coil unit, the wireline unit, and built what we want to see as users. So we did everything here from the standpoint of functionality, not from the standpoint of selling a product. That was
Right.
never the goal. If your goal is to sell a product, you won't sell products. You have to fix a problem. And this is a real problem to us. So
Absolutely.
what you're seeing on the screen is our first run through of what we see as the perfect coil tubing platform. This is also expanded into frac and many other things. But this is just taking snapshots from different elements of different entities, different business units inside of NOV and putting them in one spot. And then working we're working from an outcome of what we need to happen all the way back to how do we get there.
Yeah.
How do you start? You have to employ the right people. So this team, we're not made up of financial guys or E&P focused or service company focused. We're made up of customers. So it's all coil tubing engineers, frac engineers, wireline engineers, completions engineers from E&Ps that have held roles from entry-level engineer to VP of the largest coil tubing company that has ever happened inside the Western Hemisphere, or ever will happen. So
Right.
it ran more than 100 units, and operation managers from big frac companies. So we're all based on a big group of people that know the problem and are only focused at fixing this problem every day.
Right.
So we sit in the room together. It's not one snapshot. It wasn't one hand sketch. We sit there and we poke at the individual items to make sure that every element works exactly as you'd expect when you're dealing with these issues in the field or at the office looking at remote jobs.
Right. Well, and that's, I think, one of the reasons why if folks watch the show often, usually we start off with a very basic, what is it? What's the topic? What are we talking about? But when I was hearing y'all's story, we decided instead to start with what are the challenges? Because that's how that's your story, is y'all started from the challenge and then, like you said, working backwards towards the solution.
Absolutely. I think most of the team came to NOV to work specifically on this project
Wow.
because we feel so strongly about the problems.
Yep.
We're in the field. We could put our hands on the problems when we're in the field. We moved into these office roles and these leadership roles, and we no longer could help our teams in the field. We were helping from the phone. They're calling. We're asking them, Eventually, we were able to FaceTime, but originally it's where they're calling and they're just texting us and saying, "Hey, help!" And so what we've done is we went all the way through all these hand sketches and all these mock-ups to what you see on the screen today.
Yeah, and your series, I've seen the hand sketches, or we've talked
Yeah.
about them, so those are real things.
They are real.
You just
They are
didn't show
real.
them today on this on
Yeah,
on the show,
they are
but
real.
yeah.
They are signed by certain employees, but those are real, and those were done on paper with map colors. So for those who still know what those are. So.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about what areas of completion, or I should say service lines, that Max supports.
So Max Completions covers anything on a completion site. So after casing goes in, coil tubing, frac, wireline, jointed pipe drill outs, flowback, snubbing, well testing, all the way to production. It's not just the frac fan. So as we started, when we're looking at a frac job, we're not just looking at the van. We're not just looking at rate and pressure and concentrations. We're looking at the van. We're looking at the wellheads. We're looking at the pump down unit, the wireline unit. If they're doing any flowbacks, they need to reverse. We got everything. The same thing with coil tubing. It's not just the coil tubing unit. It's the coil unit, the pump, the mixing plant, the flowback, the whole system in one spot. So we serve everything in completions, but it's not just completions. The beauty of NOV and the benefit of NOV is MD Totco. It is drilling. It's all the way from the drilling platforms, or even starting the process of looking at drilling a well, all the way through production. And NOV's Max platform is dedicated to giving you that full life cycle of your well and giving you the visibility of that life cycle.
Right. Really seeing that, like we talked about earlier, that big picture, being able to look at it on a grand scale.
Absolutely.
It's really awesome. And what about when it comes to legacy technologies or previous engineering tools? How does it work with that?
Great question. So NOV means so much to so many people in the industry.
Right.
I was running a coil tubing group. For me, NOV was capital equipment. It was BOPs, it was coil units, it was pipe, it was pumps, it was all these things. But to others, it can be data platforms, data sources, drilling rigs, whole frac spreads. So we had the ability to leverage not just the things that we knew, but everyone in NOV to bring their best to the table. So this is just one element. This shows one of our legacy products. This was CTS's fatigue models. So they've been known as the industry leader for coil tubing fatigue modeling for 2+ decades. We are able to use their legacy products, Totco's legacy products, Hydro-Rig's legacy products, bring everything in one spot. So we have fatigue. We use Cerberus for our torque and drag modeling, looking at other frac elements, able to use all of the things around everyone's pieces of hardware to bring you the best platform in the industry.
Wow. So that's really incredible just to see it. I'm glad. I love having these pictures kind of to be able to kind of have that visual to go with it. And I know adaptability, I think, is something, anytime there's maybe something new or something coming out, people want to know, well, does that mean I have to scrap everything? And so it's nice to see that it includes those.
And so we're in a NOV Live, so we talk about NOV. The one thing we didn't bring up is it's not just NOV equipment. This is also any data source. It doesn't have to be the NOV capital equipment. Anything on your location, we can bring into one spot together. We can aggregate it through our devices and push it up. So it doesn't just have to be ours, but we do heavily leverage our equipment. So we really like our equipment, and we like,
What's not to like? I mean, so brass tacks, kind of what I wanted to ask you, when is it coming out? When is it going to be released? And how can our customers get it? How can they utilize it?
I think that's the biggest question.
Right.
These
I know.
platforms, things that we're building take a long time to come to market.
Right.
NOV's Max Completions landed as code complete on production websites yesterday. Max Completions is in beta testing for one of the elements, and will be moving into further beta for frac, coil, wireline, snubbing, everything by the end of the year. Right now, we have live data coming in from the field, not from one customer, but from everyone that's hooked to it.
Wow.
So, you asked two parts. That's the
Right.
win. The win is now and through the end of the year, full rollout to where you'll have the ability. The second part is how. So
Right.
when we're talking about such a big undertaking, coil tubing is one direction, wireline is one, frac is one. So the first screen that you're seeing right now, this is the data path for coil tubing. So anyone that is using CTS or hydro rig unit that already has our hardware on, it's one click and you could be on Max tomorrow. That's if you have a hydro rig unit and you're listening to this, call me. We will talk about you seeing it in this platform instead of some of our legacy stuff, and how to realize that, and how this will become more mature with you over to the end of the year. For the frac side, we're looking at a different path. So this is leveraging NOV's Max Edge technology. So this is how we bring in our equipment or anyone else's equipment. We can put this edge device on any piece of completions equipment in the world and bring this feed in on one time stamp to get all of the aggregated sensors on one timeline, one space, get it to the cloud, let you visualize it, let you download it, share this data to back-end databases if you'd like. So.
Wow, that's awesome. And the kind of my last question is sort of an open-ended one. I don't normally ask this, but there's so much here to talk about. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. So is there anything we haven't gotten to yet? Well, I have you here.
there's hundreds of things.
Right, I figured.
So this one is really open and transparent. It's just questions.
Right.
We could spend hours and hours and hours on these topics for Max, but one big one that's really near and dear to me, because you heard me say that field user a couple times, being or having that field background, coming from that spot, where we've seen as an industry maybe miss a little bit is how we address the field user when we're building platforms as an industry. A lot of platforms are built. Almost every one of those platforms are directed at the person that signs POs that are sitting in the E&P's office.
Oh.
If you want clean data, if you want to go back to what that video is saying, you've got to empower the field.
Absolutely.
So what we've done in this platform is we have created the Max mobile app that is not for the office. Yes, the office can check it at dinner, our senior levels and me and, everyone that's at the office, we can check jobs really fast here. So we can go see what is the data source coming from the job. You get up to 8 channels. You can see any channels that you want. You see a complete feed or job log of what's going on. But this is really pointed at empowering the field guys that never have the ability to see the live job, to see everything. Everyone on location can share this data source. Everyone can walk around and see the 8 channels that are important to them and input comments to give you more contextualized, better, cleaner data. Wow. They also can upload pictures and videos that'll go into the master job log. And just empowering the field to putting their feel on the job is going to help the data quality. The best sensors that you'll ever find is eyes, ears, smell, taste.
Yep.
We'll never compete with that. The human sensor is better, and we've created a way to provide some of that human thought, human deduction, manual channels into the platform with the mobile app.
Absolutely. And oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that one's just really, really passionate about that one because I feel like that's one of the strongest areas that we hit and others kind of missed because there's no commercial value in that. This is fixing a problem. And that's really why we did this, to fix a problem.
Back to that root.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's so critical too because, our lives are on our phone. I hate to pull like the millennial card, the next generation, but it's only going further that direction that we need to have access to that data wherever we are. We expect it.
Absolutely.
So I think that's critical that we have that element as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a lot of ask already of, hey, you're putting graphs on there. I'm like, it wasn't for you at the office. You can log in. So this is for the field to engage. So this is for the everyman.
Yeah, absolutely. So. That's awesome. And I want to make sure, speaking of the everyman or woman or person out there, I want to get to some of their questions as well. So this first question I wanted to ask, and this is why I have the iPad for our audience if they're wondering, but is can you talk about, just beyond the well site, this question came from online, how else can data be shared, or how can that data be shared?
So the data can be shared through our website, where you can go log in, you can see the website, it can be shared through the phone app. But if you would like to get the feed direct, so a lot of E&Ps, well owners, have their own data lakes. They have their own databases where they're doing their own ingesting of the data and doing their own analysis. We can absolutely create a back-end connection and do cloud-to-cloud sharing to the feed. So it doesn't have to just come through our website. We also don't force you into a standard API. You don't have to, for those that understand what I mean here, it's huge, is we don't force you to have to ingest it only the way we'll give it to you. Tell us how you work. We'll figure out how to get it connected with you.
Right, really collaborative in that,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
aspect. Excellent. And this second one, so I want to make sure I get all the pieces here, but it's about automation, and they're specifically wondered if there's going to be any automated KPIs, so average mill time, slide time, et cetera.
100%. So in this alpha release, that wasn't out today. That's what we're maturing through the end of the year. 100%. Automated KPIs for frac, wireline, snub, and jointed pipe workover. They're all there. And so that's why having a team of frac engineers, coil engineers, wireline engineers, jointed, tubing engineers working on this is so important, because we know the hours that we spent in spreadsheets trying to pull this data out. This is all automated in the system. So as these jobs go on and you're putting in the comments, you'll be able to detect those states and drive these KPIs.
Excellent.
So absolutely. That'll be, hopefully we'll do another session with you before the end of the year just to show that. It's so big.
Absolutely. Always welcome back on. And we'll do one more question here from the audience, and then we'll wrap it up for time. Before that, I did want to mention, if we didn't get to your question, still comment those questions. We're going to be in the comments answering those. So by no means limited to when we are live. We'll get to those. But this last one, so it's kind of a follow-up to that previous one about being able to look at past data and be able to compare and see how we've improved. So the question was, can this support the data in a vault, archival vault, so I can look back later and learn more and see how we've improved?
100%. The all the data that is coming into Max Completions will be housed for your access. So the service company will see all the jobs they've done. The E&Ps will see all of the jobs on their wells that any of the service companies have done. Just depends on if you connect with us. We'll make sure you have access to your data today and in the future. It will always be there. You'll have it archived for those KPIs and to go pull down and look at it later. As new algorithms are created, as new technology is created, you may want to look at that past data to help create those, or to run algorithms on past wells to see how we could have done better, so we could make ourselves better in the future.
Yeah, and that's such a universal need. I mean, even in the marketing world, I mean, that's something that, I live and die by social media algorithms and what are, our stats that we've done. So I know how critical that is for me. I can only imagine on a when you're actually talking equipment, how important that can be as well.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for coming in. Before we end the show, I wanted to just go back to that poll question, because again, I think we're talking about what's the challenge. What are people having? What challenges are they having with their data? And so I just want to throw that one more time. If you want to still answer that, feel free to put in the comments what your biggest pain point is when it comes to operation or well site data. I feel like that kind of wraps up what we're talking about here, starting from that challenge and then finding a solution. So
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. My name has been Shelby Dumaine. Our guest today was Travis Thomas. And I wanted to thank production as well. We have Paul Dufio and Wei Han Lin, as well as Kayla Shearer for helping out on the back end as well. So thank you so much, and we'll catch you next week.